The billionaire was begged by the poor girl to act like he loved her in front of her ex. What happened next is unbelievable. Please, just act like you love me. I beg you. Her voice cracked in front of everyone. The grand ballroom went silent. The string quartet stopped playing mid-note. All eyes turned to the girl standing in the middle of the glittering crowd. Her old dress wrinkled, her trembling hands clutching the arm of a man who looked like he owned the world. That man was Nathan Cole, the billionaire CEO known for his cold heart and colder deals. The poor girl was Emily Parker, the one who used to clean offices for a living. And right across from them, holding a champagne glass with a smirk that cut deeper than a knife, stood her ex, Ryan, the man who left her for someone richer. Nathan's sharp eyes flicked down to Emily. Her mascara was running, her lips trembling, but her eyes, they were desperate. Desperate enough to risk humiliation. Ryan chuckled under his breath. Wow, Emily, you've really upgraded. Pretend to be with him now? That's cute. The crowd laughed quietly. Nathan didn't. He leaned closer to Emily, his voice low enough that only she could hear. Are you sure you wanted to do this? Tears welled in her eyes. Please, just once. Don't let him think I'm worthless. Nathan's jaw tightened. Then, without warning, he slipped his hand around her waist and pulled her closer. Gasps spread to the crowd like wildfire. He looked at Ryan with a stare that could freeze steel. She's not pretending, Nathan said. She's mine. And then he kissed her, right there under the chandelier light. The cameras flashed. The crowd erupted. Emily's world spun. She could feel his heartbeat calm and steady against her chest. But what she didn't know was that Nathan had his own reason for doing it. Because that night, pretending to love her wasn't part of the plan. It was revenge. Emily couldn't breathe. Not because of the kiss, but because of what came after. Nathan Cole, the man she'd begged to pretend, had just turned an entire ballroom upside down. Now everyone was whispering, snapping pictures, and posting on social media like wildfire. Is that Nathan Cole's girlfriend? She doesn't look like one. She's wearing a thrift store dress. Emily's cheeks burned. She wanted the ground to swallow her whole. But Nathan kept his hand firm on her waist, calm, confident, untouchable. He leaned close and whispered, You wanted him to believe you weren't worthless. Congratulations, he believes it now. She blinked at him, stunned. Why did you actually do it? Nathan released her and stepped back, straightening his suit. His voice dropped, smooth and cold. Because Ryan owes me something. And you, Miss Parker, just gave me the perfect way to collect. Before she could ask what he meant, Nathan walked off, leaving her surrounded by flashing lights and gossiping guests. The next morning, Emily's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages, missed calls, news headlines. Billionaire Nathan Cole seen kissing mystery woman at charity gala. Her tiny apartment felt smaller than ever. Her boss had fired her for unprofessional attention. Her landlord was threatening eviction. And to top it off, Ryan had texted her. So you're the billionaire's charity project now? Figures. Tears stung her eyes. She wished last night never happened. But just then, a black car pulled up outside her building. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Miss Emily Parker? Mr. Cole would like to see you. Her heart dropped. Why? Business, he said simply. Minutes later, Emily sat in Nathan's towering office, all glass, steel, and silence. He turned his chair around slowly, eyes like storms. I need a fake girlfriend, he said flatly. For 1 month. In return, I'll pay off all your debts and make your ex wish he never let you go. Emily's breath caught. Why me? He smiled faintly. Because last night, you looked real enough to make even me believe it. Her heart skipped. She should have said no. But then she remembered her rent, her lost job, and Ryan's cruel message. She nodded slowly. Fine, I'll do it. Nathan leaned forward, extending his hand. Then we have a deal, Miss Parker. They shook hands. Neither of them knew that this fake deal was about to change everything. The next week moved faster than a storm. Nathan's world was nothing like Emily's. Private jets, diamond dinners, cameras everywhere. And she, the girl who used to clean offices, now stood beside a billionaire in front of the world's flashiest lenses. "Smile," Nathan whispered, wrapping an arm around her as reporters shouted their names. She forced one, trying not to tremble. He leaned close, his breath brushing her ear. "Convincing. Almost makes me forget you're acting." Almost. Emily didn't know why, but those words stung. Later that night, inside his mansion overlooking the city, she sat quietly at the dinner table. The chandelier above them sparkled like the stars she used to dream under when she couldn't afford rent. Nathan watched her in silence. He'd seen women in designer gowns, diamond heels, and empty eyes. But Emily, she looked different. She looked real. "You're awfully quiet," he said. She looked up, startled. "Sorry, I'm just not used to all this." He studied her face for a moment. "Good. Don't get used to it." She frowned slightly. "Why?" "Because when people do, they forget who they are." The way he said it, cold, but somehow protective, made something strange twist in her chest. The next morning, headlines exploded again. Billionaire Nathan Cole surprises the world. Takes his girlfriend to an orphanage donation event. When they arrived, Emily was shocked. He wasn't cold there. He smiled, gently ruffled a kid's hair. Even donated quietly without posing for pictures. "Why didn't you tell me you'd do this?" she asked softly. Nathan shrugged. Not everything needs a camera. For the first time, she saw a part of him no one else did. A kind one. And later that night, when the event was over and the kids waved goodbye, he turned to her in the car. "You did well today," he said. Her heart fluttered. "Thanks, boss." He smirked slightly. "We're supposed to be in love, remember? Maybe try darling." She laughed nervously. "That'll cost extra." For a moment, even he laughed, really laughed. And it felt so strange that both of them went quiet afterward, unsure what that meant. But the peace didn't last. Because the next evening, as they entered a business gala together, Emily froze. Across the room, holding a glass of wine and wearing that same smug grin, stood Ryan, her ex. And when his eyes landed on her hand wrapped around Nathan's arm, he smirked and started walking toward them. Emily's heart pounded. Nathan leaned closer and whispered, "Remember our deal, Emily. Let's show him exactly what he lost." The music swelled to the golden-lit ballroom as Nathan and Emily entered arm in arm. Her heart raced, not from the lights of the crowd, but from the man walking toward them, Ryan, the one who broke her heart and laughed while doing it. Now he looked confident, smug, and more expensive than ever. "Emily," Ryan said smoothly, pretending to be surprised. "Didn't expect to see you here." Nathan's hand tightened around her waist. "You seem to have a habit of underestimating her," he said evenly. Ryan's smile faltered for a split second. "And you must be the famous Nathan Cole. Quite a performance you two put on the other night." Emily's breath caught. He still thought it was fake. And maybe it was... But right now, she didn't want it to be. Nathan's voice cut through the air like glass. "There's nothing fake about how I feel for her." He said it so convincingly that even she almost believed it. Ryan chuckled darkly. "Sure, the billionaire and the broke girl. Sounds like a charity project to me." The words hit like knives. The guests nearby pretended not to listen, but everyone was... Before Emily could respond, Nathan stepped forward, calm but deadly. "I don't do charity," he said. "I invest, and she's the only one I've ever found worth investing my time in." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed again. Emily stared up at him, speechless. Was he still acting, or had something changed? Ryan's smirk faded. His fiancée, who stood behind him, looked confused. Nathan looked down at Emily and smiled, not coldly this time. Warm, certain. Then he turned back to Ryan. "You threw away gold looking for glitter. Don't blame me for finding what you lost." The crowd murmured in awe. Ryan clenched his jaw, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off, humiliated. Emily stood frozen. When the room finally relaxed, she whispered, "Why did you do that? You didn't have to go that far." Nathan looked at her for a long moment before saying softly, "Maybe I didn't do it for you. Maybe I did it for me." Her chest tightened. The air between them changed, heavy, fragile, and warm. It was supposed to be a fake act, a 1-month deal, but suddenly every look, every touch, every word started feeling too real. Then his phone buzzed. He stepped aside to answer it. His voice dropped, cold again. "No, I told you not to call me about that. She doesn't need to know." She froze. She doesn't need to know? Who was he talking about? When Nathan turned back, she forced a smile. But inside, something cracked. Because in that one sentence, Emily realized there was a secret he was hiding from her, and it could destroy everything. For the next 2 days, Nathan became distant. He barely spoke, barely smiled. And when he did, it wasn't the same. Emily could feel the change, and it hurt more than she expected. She told herself not to care. It was all fake anyway, right? Just a deal. Just acting. But her heart didn't believe that anymore. On the 3rd night, Emily stood on the balcony of Nathan's mansion, staring at the city lights. The contract was ending in 3 days. After that, she'd go back to her small apartment, her quiet life, and her broken heart. The door opened behind her. She turned, and there he was. Nathan walked out slowly, holding something in his hand. A small, folded letter. "I owe you an explanation," he said quietly. Emily's stomach twisted. "About what?" He looked down at the letter, then at her. "The call you overheard. The secret you think I'm hiding." She said nothing, only braced herself. Nathan took a deep breath. "The woman on the phone was my lawyer. The charity I've been funding is for families like yours. I found out last week your mother's hospital bills were overdue. I told them to clear it quietly. I didn't want to embarrass you." Emily's eyes widened. "You paid my mom's bills?" He nodded. "You asked me to pretend to love you that night." But somewhere along the line, he hesitated, his voice cracking just slightly. "I stopped pretending." Her heart stopped. "What are you saying?" "I love you, Emily. For real. Not because you asked me to act. Not because it looked good in the headlines. But because you remind me of everything real I'd forgotten existed." Tears blurred her vision. She dreamed of words like that, but never from someone like him. "Nathan," she whispered, "you don't have to say that just to make me feel better." He smiled faintly. "You still don't get it, do you?" He stepped closer, gently cupping her face. "You made me feel better, for the first time in years." And before she could reply, he kissed her, not for the cameras, not for revenge, not for a deal, but because he finally could. A week later, headlines flooded the internet again. Nathan Cole officially confirms relationship with Emily Parker, the billionaire's real-life love story that started as a pretend. Ryan disappeared from the picture entirely. Emily's mother recovered, and Emily started a small art studio, funded but not controlled by Nathan. And on the same balcony where she once stood alone, Nathan wrapped his arms around her and whispered, "Still think I was pretending?" She smiled up at him, eyes shining. "If this is acting, I never want the movie to end." He laughed softly and kissed her again, the city lights glowing around them like stars that finally found their place.